true pleasure today. He is the one, the only, the WWE Hall of Famer, Mean Gene Okerlund. I feel like
well, that's a Ric Flair move, yes, Lance. You know that.
I know. Woo! My longtime close personal friend. Now I'm stealing lines from you, too.
You got that, and I stole them from Sid Hartman. But anyway, here's the fact of the matter is, we're in town this weekend for a big shindig out by the airport, out at the Days Inn. It's going to be a fan fest like you would never believe. And I mean, this Dave Hero has brought in the who's who in professional wrestling, Lance, including 6, count 'em, 6 divas.
Wow. I know you're excited about that.
I am excited about that.
But we got to talk about the outsiders, Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff. I mean, Dave Hero, he's bringing in star power and Mean Gene Okerlund.
Well, there's a ton of guys coming in. Hall and Nash, of course, were very instrumental in the building of the NWO. You know what a big and long time hit that was. Hey, how's the fishing up around Spooner and Rice Lake? And
you know, the muskies are getting big up there. They restocked them when I was in high school. And
are you a licensed fisherman?
I am a licensed fisherman.
Yeah.
My grandfather's in the Fishing Hall of Fame, if you can believe it.
Fishing Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I don't know if that makes me an expert.
Wait a minute,
can't even read a book.
You and I talking here. Isn't that a bit of a stretch?
It is a bit of a stretch.
Huh?
You're right. But now you're asking me the question.
Wrestling Hall of Fame, I can understand.
Yeah.
We've got Pete Rose in there. So you talk sports and I'll talk Pete.
That sounds good. Right. We like that.
No, but what kind of fishing do you do up in that area? Spooner, Rice Lake, Amory. I remember all those great towns.
All those towns.
And I know the kind of kid you were when you were little.
Yeah.
Right there.
Running around with my tights on and my mask and jumping in and out of the ring. I think they had to kick me out of the ring a couple of times.
Yeah, but I mean, you didn't get disqualified.
No, thank goodness. It was just temporary.
No suspension.
No suspensions that I know of. I paid everybody off, Gene. I paid them to stay quiet. How about that? Isn't that a good thing?
Lance, you knew a great promoter here in Milwaukee by the name of Dennis Hilgart. He passed recently, and I just said to Dave Hero what a big man he was in the industry, in this market. And across the country, he had a great reputation. But he's going to be sorely missed.
You loved Milwaukee. I mean, this was one of your bread and butter places, whether it was with the Crusher or when you guys barnstormed this area with the AWA, WWE, WCW. This was always a good place for you, wasn't
Lance, I loved it so much that when they decided they were going to draft me into the Army, I said, I want to take my physical right here in Milwaukee.
Wow.
And I did.
Is that a cheap pop?
It is cheap pop, yeah. You know about it.
I do know about that. I know about the industry a little bit, but the other thing I've got to ask is, I'm always amazed.
Wait a minute. Am I going to quit asking the questions?
Well, you know, people want to hear more from you than they want to hear from me, but you are the expert interviewer. That is true.
Let's hear what you got to say.
I do defer to you. I was always amazed that you've got these big behemoths, 250-plus pounders, and yet here's Mean Gene holding his own on the microphone, and that always inspired me to do what I'm doing, to try to keep up with these big-time athletes. Nobody pushed you around, Gene.
Well, I saw just a few of them here in your studio. They look like they just returned from a buffet.
I got some big guys that back me up here. Yeah, Channel 4. Absolutely.
One guy looked a little bit like the one-man gang. But he said he'd like to be the boss man. So
yes, he did.
There you go.
Yes, he did. But how did you do that? How on earth you're surrounded by some of the biggest and best ever, and you just did your thing?
Supposedly they can't touch me.
Okay.
So I can't be intimidated physically.
Yep.
I should have control of the program.
Right.
And I don't ever want to say it privately or publicly, but you know who had the smarts, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right here.
You know how to bring the interview back.
Yeah, and we can bring these guys back in. Vern Gagne was a tough interview. You know, and he always wanted to do it his way, and you couldn't do, hey, stop, because he owned the territory.
Right. So
he owned the show.
Who are your favorite interviews? I mean,
my God.
You've got some classics.
One from here had to be Crusher. Mad Dog Vachon, of that genre also. But Nick Bockwinkel and Bobby Heenan.
Yep.
Heenan, I just saw him down at WrestleMania in Dallas, and he's not faring well.
Right.
He was supposed to be here this weekend, but he fell and hurt himself. Now under observation in the hospital for 72 hours. I don't want to reflect on that sad note because we remember all of the great things about Bobby Heenan.
Yeah.
A funny man, a very accomplished athlete, and he sure knew how to put guys over.
One of the greatest things, Gene, was when Dave had him in one time, I asked him about the weasel suit, and he said somehow, some way, somebody stole it at an airport somewhere. How much would that thing be worth in this day and age? Remember when he had to wear the weasel suit?
I do remember. And they put him out with the sleeper hold.
Yeah.
Right guy did. He's laying around on the mat. All of a sudden, he starts to wake up, and he goes, "Oh!" And you could see, I mean, he was just. It was genius, pure genius, and that's the reason people are going to remember that that match forever. It's going to go down in history as one of the greatest, what I would call, gimmick matches. So,
And I mean, YouTube and the WWE Network full of your interviews. You were literally the voice track of a generation of wrestling, whether it was Hogan, whether it was Macho Man, whether it was Flair. The guys all talk to you. Paul Orndorff, I saw one the other day, since he's going to be in town, where you were trying to stifle a laugh. It was one of the few times where you broke from character.
well, guys came up with a few things that would have even you cracking, Lance.
Yeah, that's true.
And you're probably known as the legitimate stone face.
I try to be.
Yeah,
Try
but
to be stoned.
when these guys, Wendy Richter came up with a couple, and Paul Orndorff and a few others. The Iron Sheik.
Okay.
Was he a trip? I can't even begin to tell you about some of the stories of the interviews that I conducted with him. They were classics.
Yes, they are. The seminal moment of wrestling, at least of recent vintage, is the formation of the NWO. You got the Outsiders in town this weekend. What was that like, Gene, to be pelted with garbage, and all of a sudden you hear Hogan saying that certain people should be back in Minneapolis selling meat from a truck and all that stuff?
But you
it's
thought it was me.
I thought it was you at one point.
Eric Bischoff.
It was Eric. Yes.
Yeah, he did bail him out.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you're more noble.
That really, though, transformed WCW into a Main Street player at a time when they had to be, because they were losing a fortune. And Eric was kind of at the guard at the gate,
Right.
so to speak. And with the advent of the NWO and Hulk Hogan getting into the business like he did, along with Hall and Nash, and they just added to it and added to it and added to it, and all of a sudden this thing was like viral. Japan, they had stars from all over the world that were part of the New World Order.
We got to talk some politics. A few years ago, there was a hair versus hair match between Mr. McMahon and Donald Trump. Just imagine, Gene, if fortunes would have reversed and if Donald Trump would have lost his hair and now he'd be running for president at that WrestleMania. What would have happened, Gene?
Well, we know it wasn't fixed. Even though somebody might have cheated in golf.
Right.
I just heard that.
Right.
No, I don't think it would change things anyway. We had heard a rumor earlier in the day that possibly Mr. Trump, the Donald, was going to take Vince McMahon under consideration as his possible vice presidential running mate.
Should we run with that?
The presumptive vice presidential. They're using that now.
But sometimes the storylines in wrestling are just as crazy.
Well, of course they are.
Yeah.
Of course they are.
Did you enjoy that?
Yeah. I enjoy politics, though, too.
True.
Because I think we can all get a good laugh out of it. I just hope they can straighten up the country and everybody is cool and copacetic.
I like that. That's a good word.
I'm not moving to Belize.
I'm staying here too. I like the
Right.
Midwest. The other promo that I always love is the one where, and you got to think of Bobby Heenan on a weekend like this, is where he had Rick Rude out there and he said it was like a snake charmer and all of a sudden you were getting hypnotized. Do you remember that promo?
Oh, I do.
It was a legendary one.
Yeah, that was not put on. That was actual. I got zapped.
You were starting to go under? You were starting to
I
get
was.
hypnotized?
Matter of fact, I think I soiled myself after the whole thing.
Oh, no.
It was that effective.
But how much is it, obviously I'm a talker, but how much of wrestling is the psychology of the promo versus what you can actually do in the ring?
Well, I think it's tier two, two-tier. when you have what the guy says comes out of his mouth, expostulating on the virtues of his talent, and then what the story the guy can tell in the ring. And some are two-way performers. They have a great gift for gab on the microphone and behind a camera, as well as getting into the ring and being able to carry a match to where it needs to go. Ric Flair, even Hulk Hogan, just a ton of guys. Crusher could tell a story, a real story here. And we've been blessed to have a lot of great guys. Once you get at this level, I think most of your guys are pretty upright.
And I know you appreciate it, but do you feel like sometimes that you lived a dream? AWA, WCW, WWE. A lot of people wanted to be Gene Okerlund.
I did WWE twice.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, first time around WWF. And man, was that something. I mean, that revolutionized the landscape of our sport forever. And that's when we only had, 8 or 10 stations, Lance. It was a different ball game.
Right.
Today we can choose from 1,000 conceivably. But the business has also grown. It entertains new generations every year, and I think it does so very well. I mean, it's a family act right now, and I like that. I like that environment. It's good for us as a company, and it is good for the fans because it gives them some great entertainment, maybe with just a little hint of irreverence in it.
Other thing is the AWA is still beloved around this.
Oh.
Do you still get that to this day?
Always. And I had some guy that was older than me say, when I was a little kid, I used to watch you. And I said, hey, don't tell me that. When I was a little kid, I was watching you.
Nice.
So, no, but the AWA still carries that great reputation all of these years. And of course, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Eau Claire, La Crosse, Green Bay, Kenosha, all of these cities were promoted at one time or another by the AWA. And I've missed it. That library, by the way, belongs to WWE. So you're going to be seeing that on the network, probably on some special video releases, some CDC. So it's gone, but not forever.
That's good. Final thing, and I know Dave would appreciate me doing this.
Hey,
Is,
where's my question?
yeah, okay,
Well,
go
yeah.
ahead. Yeah.
What about now? What about this fishing season? When does it start here in Wisconsin?
It starts tomorrow, in fact, Gene. Your timing is impeccable. Tomorrow.
How could that's got to be a real accident? I just arrived here on the fishing opener,
You did.
and I imagine now I'm going to have to get a Wisconsin license.
We can tell a whale of a tale, too.
Whoa! Wait a minute. If I'm a senior citizen,
Yeah.
do I get off the hook? No
No.
pun intended.
I think you still have to pay.
Oh,
The last that I checked.
well, I hope somebody will be out there with a cold beer, and I'll get some nice walleyes for him.
And I know Dave would appreciate this. Give us your best promo for what's going to happen this weekend.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, tomorrow, Days Inn, Milwaukee. All of the superstars are going to be here, past, present, and future, and you could be part of it. So handy, so easy. It's going to be a fun time. Why wouldn't you do it? Walk, don't run. We'll see you there tomorrow.
What a voice. Awesome.
I can sell it to you right now for a pretty good price. Lance, thank you for the time.
Gene, thank you for the time. It's always a pleasure.
Oh,
an honor.
my pleasure.
Yeah. Hall of Famer, Gene Okerlund.